correct me if I get this wrong, which is quite possible. We did end up finishing the open existing account event at the end of last class. Okay, so we do have the ability to reopen an account, which means that our asset side of the house, checking, money market, and savings, we're all complete. So we do have some issues on the credit account because there are two types of credit accounts that we're going to be interested in. A basic credit card, which is the closest to the original project from Java 1 that we get, and then this thing called an equity line, which has some features in it that even I am not real satisfied about the solution on how to approach the equity line. But we'll see how it goes. So I want to, at least in our credit account, get far enough that we can open new accounts. And you may have this code already in your, if you've done your work at home, which would be great, but it's okay if not. Now the credit account has basically a similar type of variable set that we need to worry about. We're going to have our private strings for the name and the type code. This as the superclass for this tree of objects, it is going to need to know the type of object that is using it. And we are still going to have our private int for account number. Let me just double check the naming that I did on the yeah, you know, we probably could copy. The only thing that's different here is that instead of just a balance, we have a credit limit. But yeah, in fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just go ahead and copy all of these items that were the globals from the asset account. Go over to credit account and paste them in. But then the one change is that in addition to the balance, which is really the balance due, you can leave it as balance if you want. We also have C limit is what I called mine for credit limit, because the credit account side of the house carry that added value. So if we think about the creation, the instantiation call, and the constructor, we are going to receive, if we look at compare it to the asset account and just think through any differences here, I think we can do some copying again. We are going to receive a type code, a name, and a value. Now the value is not the starting deposit in the way it is for an asset account, but it is the credit limit. So they're going to be entering something that creates a credit limit for us. And we're still going to want to set the account number to 0, randomly create a possible account number, try to open it, hoping that we can't. Yeah, I think a lot of this code can be copied. So let's do that. I'm going to copy the whole thing and then we'll fix it up. So I'm just going to copy the insides, not the constructor call, not the public declaration. We'll do that ourselves. So all of the guts, Control C, over to credit account. So we are going to have public credit account, which receives the string type code, the string for the account name, and the double for the CL, the credit limit is what I'll call it. Or we'll call it CLIM, credit limit. And then I'm going to paste in my code, Control B, all of that stuff, and see where it leaves us. TC goes into type code. 0 is starting for account number. We do have the action message and the error message. We're leaving balance as 0, but we also now have CLimit, which we can set as 0, and I'm not going to set it to the CLIM amount until I'm sure that I have an account. So looking through the next bit of code, random number is fine, buffered reader is fine. We're still going to read based on the type code plus this account number we're trying and .txt. If we don't fail, then we have to close and reset the account number and try again. But if we catch an exception, account does not yet exist, so we're going to set the name. And now the balance actually is, you can leave it this line of code in, it doesn't really matter, but the CLimit can now be set to CLIM. We should probably do a validation on that. I actually don't have that in my notes. I was just trying to think about that. I'm just going to, let's just do it up here. If CLIM is less than or equal to 0, then error message equals invalid credit limit account not opened. And what we've been doing, what we did down below, is we set the account number to -1. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. This account number equals -1, and I'm just going to return. So that's just a kind of a shortcut way of validating that the limit that came in. You know, if they give me no name, you could argue that we shouldn't open the account, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to worry about credit limits which don't make any sense. Okay, so we're going back to our code. If we set the credit limit and do a write status, the write status is successful, then the account was opened, and we do a write log against that message. If we see an error anywhere, we have to reset, and we don't want to set balance. We don't need to set balance to 0. We can, but we also need to make sure that the CLimit is 0. Okay. And an exception produces the same result. So actually, I think we're in pretty good shape there. And as you start to see asset account versus credit account superclasses, you realize that, man, there's a lot of code that's the same or nearly the same here. Couldn't we even, you know, have another superclass level that was one account superclass? And we probably could, but I'm not gonna worry about it. This exercise is really about the interface side of things to introduce it. Okay, well, write status and write log, I didn't copy those. I guess I should have, because I think our code is going to be the same again. So let's go back over to the asset account. and I'll leave you to worry about the open existing on the credit side of the house, but I'm going to grab write status and write log, two methods that I think should be about correct. In fact, I'm going to copy all the way down. We'll leave it here, all the way down to the get action message. So write status through a number of the gets. We'll come back, paste those in. So that is the end of the constructor. And then Control V and see what we've got. So write status uses the type code to create the out object. Now, here we do have a change. We're going to write the name first, and then there is the credit limit. So I'm putting the credit limit as the second line of the status file, and the balance, which is really balance due, is now the third line of the status file. So don't forget that line of code, or you won't be able to recover, you won't be able to open an existing successfully. Okay, write log. Timestamp, file writer that includes the L log code, append mode, write your message. I think that's good to go. Anybody see any difference that we need there? I don't think so. Okay. So we've got gets for the account number, the name, the balance, error message, and action message. But of course, we also need to add now a get for the credit limit, and well, we'll just do that one first. So public double get, I'm just going to go with get limit. And the job of get limit is to return this credit limit. Now that is not a part of, right. Oh, did I forget I thought I had the implements. Yeah, implements account. So if you look at the account.java, get balance is there, but credit limit is not required of the account. And you could have gone either way here, because you could have said, well, you know, the asset doesn't have a credit limit on it unless you want to consider the balance the same thing as the limit. But I just chose to leave that out of the account interface and add it only where needed in the credit account. But it does mean we're going to have to be able to get to it. So that's going to require a little bit of extra work for us. Again, there are alternatives to the design here, but I did not put it in my account.java. Did anybody add it to account.java if you were working on your own? No, because I think I'd specified it. Hadn't I specified account.java in the spec? Let's see. Make sure that I'm not leading you down the garden path. Wait a minute. Where did I identify it? Account.java. Okay. I guess I didn't really. Did I not give you a specific list? Huh. Okay. Well, we'll go with this then. The way I have it here. Oh, okay. Here was the note. Account.java should not declare methods which are specific to the credit account class, which are credit limit and equity value. So those will be right. So the question is, well, why not add it to the account interface, and for the asset account just return some null value or non-value, and that's certainly doable. I mean, that's an alternative design, which is fine. I just chose not to do that. Okay, so we're back on our credit account, looking at these get methods. Name. Account number. There's also an available credit value, which is a calculated value, but I'm going to go ahead and put the method in. So public double get avail CR for available credit is the way I have it in my notes. And this returns the difference between credit limit minus the balance. And that's the available credit. Okay. Now, in the asset, just again, using the asset account as our guide, in the asset account, we had declared the two methods get type description and get type code as abstract. So I'm just going to copy that code exactly as it is from asset, because that will be true on the credit account side as well. Those are the abstract methods that the subclass reports. Okay. Get type description, get type code. Okay. Well, let's see if we can't make something happen in terms of the credit card account. So in fact, let's while we're here, let's go ahead and create our credit card.java class inside credit account. So right click, new Java class, credit card. and credit card, public credit card extends credit account. And we need to put in our constants for the class. So public static final string type code equals CC, and public static final string type description equals credit card. Now the way that we instantiate a credit card is quite simple, because the values come in and we simply call the superclass. So public credit card receives just the name and the credit limit value. And we then call the superclass, sending it credit card type code as the TC, and then NM and C limit as the starting values. Okay, so now it's happy with our constructor, and we're ready to write the get type code, get type description. So public string get type code returns credit card dot type code, and that is an override. And public string get type description returns credit card type description with the override. Okay, well, we've got some other methods for this to be testable. We're going to have to fill out the other methods in credit account that go with the interface. So while we're here, we need to add the following. Well, let's look at the account.java again. We've got, okay, we're missing set charge, set payment, and set interest action, and get log, and get error message, and action message. Okay. So in fact, we can just copy those and then fill them out. So I'm going to copy those. Oh, we have the balance. Sorry, we just need starting with set charge. Okay, so I'm going to copy that set from the interface into credit account anywhere you like, and then we'll fix it up. Okay, so we're going to have public void set charge, but we now need to give it a code block that just says not implemented. And then set payment, the same. because you are going to write all of that lovely code for me. All right. Now the get log for array list will just return a new array list of strings. I guess I don't need the string there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we needed to add override annotations to all of these as we build them. Okay, but we do have error message and action message. So those we can actually implement. So we return this act message, or we return, oops, wrong one, sorry. Action message goes second there, and error message goes up above. All right, now what doesn't it like? Oh, I already have it defined? Oh yeah, we copied them, sorry. Okay, take that out. You should have jumped on me. Wait, don't do that. We already did it. Okay, so we have a bunch of unimplemented methods that you will code in your copious free time. We go back to credit card. Is it now happy? Yes, credit card is happy with the methods that it has as being acceptable as far as satisfying the interface, or the superclass really, which implements the interface. So I think we're ready to look at the form side of creating the credit card object. Okay, so let me see. Where in my notes I have everybody with me? Okay. So form. Create credit account. I guess I have these reversed from the way they are in the spec, so I hope that doesn't confuse you. But we're going to create credit account, credit card. So when they call for that, we need to create the action performed event for the click of that menu item. And it will look very much like the others, because the main job of that event is to open up the input line. But since that we did last week or the week before even, we'll just get going again. We'll write it from scratch. So we're going to set input line to true. In other words, make that visible. But there are some changes. So the JTXT type code field gets a set text of credit card class dot credit card credit. It's not showing me the What did I do wrong? Well, I know I need an import, but why is it not? It should be type code. But why is it not recognizing it? Let's see. Maybe does it? I didn't think it needed the import. But let's do it. So we're going to import credit account credit card. Didn't we write public static final string type code. Type CD. I didn't misspell it. I am not getting. It worked on yours? Let me do a clean and build and see what I've done something. Oh, you know what? I think I'm building the wrong project. Yeah. Let me activate my main project. Yeah. Huh. That, now it's seeing it. So it was some kind of NetBeans brain hiccup. But we will carry on now that it's happy enough. So account name, JTXT, account NM will be a set text to the empty string. And start value, so the label start val, set text to credit limit, because we're asking them for the credit limit input. And then the default on a credit card is 1,000. So JTXT start val, so the TXT start val, we will plug 1,000 in that field, that top line, and we will not make that an input value. So that's forced on a credit card. So JTXT start val set enabled to false, and then we're ready to put the cursor in the account name. So JTXT account name request focus in window. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry that it's getting warmer. I could have turned on the portable air conditioner, but it was only at 74, which is usually good for this room. So, okay. Yeah, I hope you feel better. All right. So there we go. Line is active. Changes have been made. The rest of the work should come in the create or the open button. So let's find that event. We called it create. So on the events action performed for create, we have a lot of code already in place, pulling the various values, account name. We're going to go ahead and pull the value even though we plugged it. We'll let it pull the value right out of that starting value. And now we're ready to add some more, right? So we've got a new case, a case where the type code matches the credit card type code, and our account object will be a new credit card, sending it the JTXT account name get text along with SV, and starting value is of course the credit limit in this case, and we will break after that case. Let me see if I've forgotten anything else. Well, I've forgotten how to read apparently because I can't find my method. There it is. Okay. All right, so credit card is opened. We check the error status. We display values. Ah, yes, display values. Okay. So now we do have a change, or not a change, but an addition. Because on our display values, right now, and again, display values refers to this block of information. A credit card has a credit limit, or a credit account, of course, has a credit limit, an available credit, and we haven't dealt with the equity value yet. We're going to come back and deal with that after we start thinking about this equity line. But we at least need these two additional values. So, down on your display, we do have logic for if it's an instance of an asset account, what do we do? Let's add, and you can do it as an else, or it's not really even required in this case. If A is an instance of a credit account, what are the, oh, and we don't have the import yet for credit account, so we do need to go through an explicit import. What do we need to add? Well, now here's the thing. The two values that we've already just talked about, the credit limit and the available credit, are not a part of the interface. So the credit account, or rather the A account object, can't get to those. So we are going to have to downcast. So we're going to create a credit account CR as a cast credit account of A. And once we've cast it, downcast it, we can then do JTXT available set text of, do we have a currency formatter here available to us? Did we create? Yeah. So we can do it set text of C.format of CR dot, and now we should have it. So get avail CR is a part of the credit account structure, and I guess I didn't name my text field exactly that. What did I name it? JTXT, oh, I spelled it out, available. And the credit limit, I did just shorten it to C limit. Okay. So JTXT available and JTXT C limit gets a set text of C.format of CR.get limit. Now the other thing that we need to make sure of, and this is because we might be switching back and forth between an asset account and a credit account, we need to make sure that all these fields are visible. So all of these will end up, even including the equity value, will end up being visible. So I'm going to copy that instance of block where we had turned them off. I'm going to copy that into my instance of credit account and set the values to true so that we make sure that all of those go back on whenever a credit account is processed. Now, we can't do any action against a credit card yet because I'm leaving that code to you. But we can at least see if we get a create and if our screen looks about right with the proper values in it. But I still have a little error here somewhere, unless my clean and build says no. So I'm going to clean and build again and see what happens. Ah, it went away. Okay, so I think we're ready to look at a test of the credit card. So I'm going to do a file, create credit account credit card, got my CC, got my 1,000 that's fixed. I just need to give it an account name and ask it to create. And there we have the account name with a number. Balance is 0. Credit limit is 1,000. Available credit also 1,000. Obviously, the difference between those. It's a credit card type, and we're ready to do transactions, assuming we can do transactions. Let's just double check that our files look right. 382492. So if I go back out to my area on my drive, I now have CC 382492, which has name, credit limit, and balance, and CCL that just says, hey, it was opened. All right. Well, now we come to this knotty little problem of an equity line. Okay. Let me, again, try to find the proper notes so I don't send you off in a bad direction. Okay. Equity line. Since we're here in the view, let's do it from the view side. At least start it. So we're going to create a method for creating a credit account of equity line type, event, action. Well, you know what? I might change my mind on that. It's probably better because the form depends on having a class item there that we can make use of. So let me change my mind on that. If you built the event, that's fine. I'm gonna go back to my credit account package, and we'll build there. Okay, so credit account needs a new Java class, and the Java class is equity line. And the equity line, so just type that and click finish. The equity line has the peculiar situation that an asset value is actually being entered, and then the equity line, the credit limit, is based on a percentage of that asset value. Thinking of home equity type credit lines. So let's start off here by extending, so it extends credit account. And it needs its strings, so public static final string type code is EQ here, and public static final string for type description is equity line. But there are now two values which are carried at this level and not as a part of the credit account. And so the values that we will need in addition are a private double, which I'm going to call EQ val, what was the original equity value, and then a private double, we could have done it at 1, which is the credit ratio, if you will. Now that is also, it could be a constant, it could be a final static, well, it wouldn't be static, but it could be static too, but we're going to just keep it as a private value, and the equity line as the spec lays out is an 80%. So 80% of the equity value is given to you as a credit limit. But now we have a problem. Because we need to send to the superclass the credit limit, and you just can't quite do it. So here's our situation. We're going to have the equity line constructor that receives a string and a double, which is the equity value. That's what they're going to input. And we're going to call the superclass, and we want to send it equity line type code, the name, but then we want to send it the value that they give us times the credit ratio. And you can't. Because if you try to send eval times this credit ratio, it says, no, sorry, cannot reference this before supertype constructor has been called. So in other words, any calculation that you try to apply as a part of the superclass constructor call will be rejected. And of course, if you say, well, let's just take this out, and we'll put a variable, so we'll have a double x equal, you don't have to type this because it's not going to work, eval times credit ratio, and then let's try calling the super class, and we'll send it x. And it says, no. Call to super must be the first statement in the constructor. So we've got a problem. And I don't know of any elegant way around this problem. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and send the equity value that comes in from the user to the superclass, and then I'm going to fix it. So after I've called the constructor for the superclass, I'm going to fix my issue. And so I need to look at, does the super get error message have nothing in it? Is it empty? So if super get error message is empty, then I'm going to set the EQ val that I store in this subclass. I'm going to set it equal to the eval that came in, and I'm going to adjust the limit inside the superclass. But for that to happen, I need to be able to do this, super dot set limit, because I want to set it to the this equity val times this credit ratio. And at this moment, I do not have the capability of doing a set limit. The credit account class only expects a get limit. But of course, that was already an operation that was specific to the credit account type of object. So there's no reason we can't, even though the credit card .java class doesn't use it, there's no reason we can't write a set limit, and we just need to be careful what needs to be true about set limit. How do we declare the method? Let's get there. Let's go to credit account, and when we have a get, where's my get limit? I'm looking for get limit. No, wait a minute. There it is. Get limit. Okay. Is this appropriate? Public void set limit double L. This dot C limit equals L. It seems to take it. Now L's always look like ones. Let me just say lim. Are you happy with that method? Would anyone like to recommend an enhancement, an improvement to that method? You may not be thinking in these terms yet, but you will eventually. Here's our issue. Do we want anybody in the world to be able to set our credit limit directly in our account? Right. I mean, they do by the constructor. We take in a value which we consider the limit, but we're also controlling, doing some validation on that. I think it would be better, as was just suggested, that we make this a protected method so that only a subclass can call a direct set limit action. And that assures us, if we look back at an equity line, that assures us that eval, which we sent on to the superclass, has been validated. It's been validated as a credit limit, but that's okay because it still checks it for being greater than 0. And so if we know it's greater than 0, we can go ahead and take 80% of that or whatever the ratio is. Okay, so I think I like that a little bit better. And we need our other regular methods now. So we're going to have public string get type code that returns the equity line type code, and that's an override. And then we're going to have public string get type description that returns equity line dot type description. And now we have one other issue to face, and that is that on the form we have a box. We can go back and look at the view for the accounts view. We have a box that says equity value, which of course should be a copy down from the input value, but we don't yet have a feature for handling equity value. And so obviously we're going to need it here in this class. So the equity line does need to return. So we're going to have a public double get equity value, because the equity value is not carried in the credit account. The credit limit is carried, but not the equity value. So we're going to return this EQ val. But getting to this method is, a design decision, and there are different ways to do it. The way that I'm going to choose to do it is to say, well, this is, in a sense, this is kind of like the checking account that doesn't earn interest, where we have a method in checking that overrides a superclass method. It's kind of like the same idea. So what I'm going to actually do is go up to my credit account and say that, all right, in addition to the type description and type code abstract methods, we're going to require a public abstract double get equity value. But this is not an override. This is not a part of the interface. It's not a part of the accounts interface. It is only for the credit accounts, but by making it abstract, we have get equity value in equity line, which is an override. So the override annotation now needs to be added back here. I'm clicking it and it's doing nothing. There we go. So it's an override in equity line, but notice that after a moment of thought, credit card has gone red. Because if you look at credit card, it now has a problem with the public class declaration because it says, hey, it is not abstract and does not override the method get equity value. So we need to put an equity value get method in credit card, but we know the value is 0. There's no equity asset associated with the credit card. So we just do that. So we do public double get equity value, and we return 0. And then that becomes an override. I think we're back in business. One thing we do need to fix up, though, in the accounts view, where we are displaying our values, we now have a new value that's available if we have an instance of the credit account. So I'm going to add one more line. If A is an instance of a credit account, we do a JTXT ecval set text to C.format of CR dot, and now it should be there, get equity value. We'd already been turning the boxes, the label and the box on and off. So our display should be good, but of course we haven't done the coding to actually create the equity line type of account, which isn't too complex, but let's go back to our form method. So this is the method that the event method I almost had us build and changed my mind on. So back to the design. On a create credit account equity line, we're now going to do an events action performed. And now we're ready to say, okay, what really happens? Well, it should be very much like the CC, the credit card. So let's start by copying those lines of code. But of course, we don't ask for the type, or we don't post the type code for credit card. We post it for equity line, and that will require finally an import. So we will import credit account equity line. The name still cleared. The label doesn't say credit limit now, it says equity value. That's what's we're being input. And we don't have a starting value. We let them enter. And we need to make sure that the start val field is enabled. So we do a set enabled to true instead of false. We're so close, so close. I think we just have the create left, right? So let's go find our create method somewhere up here. That's the open method. Still going, still looking, still looking. Interest action, oh, where is it? Charge action. There we go. Okay. So create, action performed, does its usual stuff, but we have one more switch case to add. Case for equity line type code. A is a new equity line, sending it JTXT account name, get text, and the starting value. Don't forget your break. Okay, so we've updated the display values so that we should finally see everything we need to that's a part of a credit account. And we're ready to test. So we run it, which will also compile it. We ask for a credit account that is an equity line, EQ, home equity 1. We'll make it something small. 5,000 equity value. Should end up with 4,000 as a credit limit. Create says, there's our account, balance, credit limit is indeed 4,000. Available is 4,000, but the equity value that that's based on is the 5,000 that we entered. All right. Everything else in the program is up to you. So I realize this can be a little daunting because we've done pieces of it here and there and left certain pieces out. What has been left out? Well, we have the credit account objects, but we don't have the ability to reopen an existing credit account. So that you're going to need to deal with. And that, let me see if that's going to provide any problems for you. No, there's one, the equity line is one little bit of a, issue, but I think you can figure it out. So there's no open existing on credit accounts. We don't have any of the actual processes, charges, payments, interest actions, logs, and in fact, I think I think I will help you out with the get log. Did we do it for the asset account? Asset account has the get log method there. So that can be your guide on how to get the log out of the object. And in fact, is that a source of extra credit on this assignment? Let me go back and take a quick look. Accounts interface. Yeah, that was, so let me just point this out to you. So the extra credit, which is really very doable, there are no tricks here, but it says it will be observed from the coding of the asset account and credit account that the handling of the log files is identical for all class types, the only change being the file name. So for, not for, but for extra credit, reduce code duplication, yeah, yikes. Reduce code duplication by creating a new account log trans.java class which handles the log file processing for all class types. Create such a class with appropriate declared and implemented methods to write and read the log files. Well, the hint here is that what I'm suggesting is that you write a log trans class that has a static method that receives the proper file name and returns an array list of strings. And so that you can replace the get log in asset account and the get log in credit account with this one block of code that receives a file name in, reads the file for all entries, and sends an array list of strings back. So I would hope that you might consider working on that. But to finish up, and in fact I am, if you don't mind, I'm going to keep going for the one last little bit, and then I think we'll be done for tonight. I don't think I want to start the next assignment yet. Question first? Okay. So I want to do one more block of code before we sign off on the recording, and that is on the view, the display history, because this is where we use the we build a little pop-up, which we've done before, but I just want to review it. It should be fairly quick. So display history, event, action, action performed. And the process here, remember we have our object A. We're going to clear the status message label. And we need an array list of string elements. I'm going to call it log. And it is going to call for the account object, which has a getLog method, because that was declared as a requirement in the interface. So we're going to do a getLog. Now the form will have to have the import for the Java util array list. I guess it's possible that an error might be thrown. So let's double check that. So if A, or let's do a not. If A get error message is empty, but with the not. So if it's not empty, then we'll do a status message label set text of A dot get error message, and that's all I did, and we can return. Otherwise, we want to build an object that can be filled with the log entries and displayed. And so what I chose to use, you could use others, is a JText area, T, as a new JText area. And that requires an import. And then we're going to have to fill the text area. So I'm going to do a for int I going from 0 up to the log size, which is the number of entries, incrementing I every time. And what we're going to do then is append to our T object the log get I plus a /n for the new line, so that our log entries come out on separate lines. So we're filling the text area. And then we just need to display it. We're going to do that by creating a JScrollPane SP as a new JScrollPane that receives T. So JScrollPane is the container for our text area T, and we need an import for the JScrollPane. And then our dialog, so JDialog DG is a new JDialog. And this is that weird one where the scroll pane takes the text area as a parameter to the constructor, but you have to, on the dialog, you just call the constructor as the empty constructor, and then you add your container. So we do a DG add scroll pane. So add the scroll pane to the dialog. Then we need to set a useful title. So dg.setTitle, and I am going to set a title of let's get the type description. So it says, credit card or equity line or checking account. So type description plus a space plus the account number. So a.get account number. Plus, you know what, we can get even fancier than that. Let's do it this way. We'll do plus a.get name plus, and then in parentheses, we'll do the account number plus closing paren. And the word history. So credit account, Visa 1, number in parentheses, history. Whoops. Okay, so that's kind of fancy. But anyway, then we need to set our bounds. I'm going to start with 150, 400, 600, and 300. That's what I've got in my notes. I don't know if that's going to give me enough of a text area that most of the description will be visible. We'll change it if need be. And then we do a DG set visible to true. And we're leaving it up to them to close the log pop-up once they're done examining it. There's another little process coded for you. And now we test. I'll wait a minute for you to catch up on that. There's a lot in this one, yes. And you know what? After the next assignment is done, you're going to say, hey, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in the next one, too. But we only have 2 more to go. So we're finishing this one and then 2 more, of course, plus the assessment. We are a week out for the assessment. Let's test it. All right, let's see if we ask for a new asset account that's a money market account, MM100, initial deposit of $1,500, we create. And then if we ask for the display, yep, money market 643939 history. All it has is the entry in it. Did we have the ability to charge on it against these? Okay. Yeah, okay. History again. There you go. All right. And now we will create a credit account for equity line. Create a new equity line and display the history. Uh-oh. That's not good. My equity line isn't posting correctly. Oh dear. I have a bug. I didn't even realize I had a bug. Well, let's see what's going on. If I go out to my accounts and I look for an equity line log, oh, that's right. Sorry. The log entry is there. The write log is working, but I didn't write the get for my credit account side. So I'm seeing what I'm expecting to see. Okay, so I think we're working correctly. This will work once you do the get log in your credit account side. So we were starting to wrap it up by kind of ruminating on what was left. The processes for charges, payments, and interest actions on a credit account are left, and you can pull those from the card.java and work them into the program. The open existing on the credit account side. Do we have anything that we didn't do on the asset account side? I think we completed that entirely. So it's not that big a deal. I think you should be fine. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So the question was about the approach to take when writing these unfinished methods: set charge, set payment, set interest action, and get log. You can start with the asset account as your guide and use code from there, or you could go all the way back to card.java and use code from there. But the main, I think, conceptually, we've done in class all the work we need to on the interface side. And let me just say that the assessment exercise coming in a week and a half may include an interface, but it may not. It might just be, and we're still talking with Merrimack because we have to have a consistent program, a consistent assessment. It might just be an inheritance model again. So nothing huge. Again, it's not going to be a big impact on your grade. There's plenty of extra credit to make up for it if you don't do well. But I'm expecting that it'll be, basically the material covered in the first half, first 8-9 weeks, possibly an interface. So we might end up with something from this last assignment, but it's not looking like that. But as I say, we'll have that published in a few days, and then we'll talk about it, what might be asked of you next week. Okay, well, since the next assignment on collections, which are maps, hash maps, and tree maps, and so forth, is a completely different world. I'm not going to twist your brain out of whack with that one. We'll wait until after the assessment to look at that, starting that one. So we'll call it a day. Thanks. Yeah, and if you've got issues in your program, I'm happy to look at them.